I think Season 3 might be what it needs to be, which is the start of them really turning things around and making the core gameplay as exciting as it has to be. Especially in here are some big changes to the repair tool that I think are really, really exciting. So we'll get into all that right now. It would help me out a lot if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment on what you're looking forward to with Season 3. But yeah, let's get into it. So overall, we're looking at some improved durability for the IFV and the main battle tank in terms of allowing them to take a few more hits, which is good because they could often feel like glass cannons before, and also they're saying they're just generally making the damage model a little bit more consistent. All of that sounds great. On the other end of the spectrum, like, I know as soon as I said that, some of you are going like, what the fuck are you talking about, T-Cat? These vehicles can feel impossible to kill sometimes. There's a couple engineers behind them, they can just plop in the open and not move, and you can't, like, do anything. So yeah, that could for sure be a frustration in the game. There were these situations where destroying enemy tanks, if they had a few engineers, could almost feel impossible at times. So they've got a really interesting change coming to the way the repair tool works. Basically, an engineer repairing a vehicle is going to start really strong, how it is now, but if the vehicle stays in combat, the effectiveness of the engineer's repair on that vehicle will get to be less over time. They've also said that multiple engineers on one vehicle will have diminishing returns. So that is a huge change. That should still allow for the kind of extended vehicle engagements we sometimes see now when you have engineers working with vehicles to keep them up. But instead of being able to just sit there with 3 engineers on your ass being almost invincible, you will still need to actually maneuver, get out of line of fire to repair properly, and think a bit more tactically. This is probably the biggest change, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before for the functionality of the repair tool. So I'm really excited to see how that plays. They've also said that vehicle regen without an engineer will now be a bit slower, but you will actually regen up to full HP, including from critical damage. So that's a really good change too, I think. It means that if there just aren't a lot of engineers on your team, or they suck, you can still have a bit more longevity in an armored vehicle as long as you're playing smart. They also talk about part of this is a full rebalance of all of the engineer launchers and mines. They provide a few less details here about exactly what they're doing, but this is really good news since currently there are just a few really obvious best options with the RPG and the standard AT mines. So it sounds like they're going to be buffing the other launchers and mines to make them a bit more viable. Possibly there will be some nerfs. We don't know yet the whole full details, but for sure balancing that stuff out better is great. They also offer just a little bit of a snippet about air vehicles, even though this post was mostly about land vehicles, but they do say that air vehicles will be getting more threat indicators and other things to improve situational awareness. They don't specifically say that a working air radar is coming, but this stuff should help anyway. I know that threat awareness is a big problem for air players right now, so I think this is a good start, although it's probably not quite enough. Overall, guys, this is sounding amazing. The changes to the repair tool are especially interesting. Engineer trains have been this weird and sometimes frustrating aspect of Battlefield vehicle gameplay for a very long time, not just in BF6. And it's actually really cool to see Battlefield Studios addressing this in a new and creative way, kind of like they did with the defibs, right? They sort of took this tool that's been in the game for a really long time, and they said, well, how can we make this overhaul this in a new way that makes the gameplay just more interesting and better. So, yeah, all good news today. This is actually sounding really good to me. I'll be interested to see what other people in the community who spend a bit more time in vehicles than I do think about this, but my impression is this is sounding great. I am really eager to jump into a tank when Season 3 launches. And yeah, like there's been a sentiment in the community that with Season 3, this is where they've really got to start turning things around and bringing players back to the game who have maybe lapsed, some of whom were vehicle players who hated the state the vehicle combat was in. As well as doing, you know, more to do just any new players coming in to make them stay, make the game just more fun, fix the core gameplay. And this is sounding really, really promising. So, that's all for today, folks. Let me know what you're looking forward to about Season 3 in the comments, and leave me a like and a subscribe for more Battlefield 6 content. Until next time, Triple T Cat out.